Okay, so we've got monogamy, one-to-one, we've got polygamy, multiples on one side or the other, and finally there is, I don't know, what do you call it? The hippie commune. I don't know. And that's just free-for-all. And that works about, in the long run, about 0% of the time. That's because we tend to find persons that we prefer. And we tend to like to stay with that person for at least a while. Helen Fisher said that if we are serious about the relationship and produce a child, the average length of time from creation of the child until the couple begins to get restless is 4 years. And she suggested that that is the time in which the highest frequency of divorce occurs. So she suggested that we have renewable contracts on marriages, that we have a marriage contract of 4 years, and after 4 years, if we're still happy, have another 4 years, et cetera, et cetera. That's the length of time it takes to get a child up to a little bit of independence, 3 years old, approximately. I'm not suggesting that's the case, but that was his suggestion. I think on Broadway it's called a 7-year itch, but that's 7 years. It's a couple of us happier together, I guess, for 3 more years. Yes.
The communities that I've been in contact with are usually economic organizations, not sexual.
Yes. The ones that I'm talking about were back in the 60s and 70s, which were groups of people that came together that wanted to form an ideal society, sometimes economic, but very often the ideal was not to pair off with somebody, but to have a situation of free love. And again, that just didn't work out. But you're right. Most of them were economic. They were started that way. But some of them, for instance, the classic one was one in Denmark, which the commune was started as an experiment in free love.
What about the kibbutz? Is another commune?
The kibbutz is a commune, but they have married couples. They are a commune in terms of economy, in terms of raising the children, in terms of sharing goods, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not a communist society, but they do have male-female pairs that are married. So it's an economic commune, but in terms of sexual access, it's a classic marriage situation for those. Does anybody have any other information on that?
They're actually paired off, the kids, similar to the Simpua marriages, and I guess the Westermark effect takes place where when they grow up young together, there's not a sexual attraction between the two young kids.
Yeah, they either marry kids that were much younger or older, or they marry somebody from a different time. But it is marriage. They do get marriages in those. The Christians were that way too. The people in the Mayflower, they were essentially a Protestant commune. They had a common source of food. They had a common eating area. They shared everything, but they did have individuals married to individuals. So it's pretty much like kibbutz in that sense. Right, but most of the communes are economic. At any rate, that isn't very successful. It just doesn't work out. Eventually, free love falls away, and you end up finding something, and you stick with it for a while at least. Humans are also interesting in that we have different complexities of society depending upon the number of people that we have in the society that we recognize. For instance, hunting and gathering groups tend to have an organization which is egalitarian, which is a meritocracy, and in which there is very little in the way of hierarchy until you get to the point where you get very wealthy groups like the Northwest Coast Totem Pole Builders, who amass massive amounts of what they call wealth, coppers, et cetera, et cetera. But the more people we get, the more complex society has to be, just to be able to deal with it. For instance, if we look at Amish societies, they have a special social structure which is very egalitarian. They have a lot of people. They have no contraception. They produce a lot of people. And when they produce a lot of people, the congregation grows and grows and grows and grows, and eventually gets to the point where it is too big for the type of social organization that the Amish have. And so arguments arise, and the congregation splits. Can split over really serious things, or one of the splits in Pennsylvania was whether the fringe on the carriage should be black or purple. That split the congregation, and one set of families went one way, and another set of families went another way. So when we get larger and larger numbers, we have to get more and more complex social mechanisms to deal with it. And we do. And I'll leave that to the cultural anthropologists and the sociologists pretty much to take care of all that situation. Let's see, what else can we say about social structure? Kinship. Higher primates recognize kin. All higher primates recognize who mom is. This was first shown very clearly in Japan. The Japanese scientists after World War II were pretty penniless, and so they started studying their own monkeys. The monkeys in Japan, Macaca fuscata, not the snow monkeys, but the other ones further south. Kinship. They know who mom is. They know who mom's offspring are. They know who mom's siblings are. They know who mom's siblings' kids are, their cousins. They know who dad is. But they know who mom is, and they know who mom's relatives are. And they act that way. They support each other. Now, some people also support non-kin, but are more likely to support kin. That is exactly what humans do. We support our kin more than we support our non-kin. The closer somebody's related to us, the more likely we are to support them. Again, in that study I did in the Mayflower, if you had relatives on the Mayflower besides yourself, you had a much higher probability of living on that first winter when half of the people died. If you didn't have a relative, you had a much lower probability of surviving that winter. Same in the Donner Party. Back to the Mayflower for a minute. If you were a kid, once again, as I mentioned before, if you were a kid and one parent was alive at the end of the winter, you were alive. If you had no parent alive at the end of the winter, you had a 50-50 chance of being alive. That was it. The Donner Party is another really interesting situation. Same kind of deal. Stuck in the winter. Very little food, no food, essentially. And the single males are the ones who died first. The two families that were the largest, all of the families survived. So keep your family close. You have a lot of family.